Okay guys, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to install and build your coilover setup. Now, my kit, it's heavy, right? This is a UPR kit. I'm using a Strange 10-way adjustable shock, the UPR coilover kit, a 14-inch, 125-pound Viking spring with a Maximum Motorsports caster camber plate and kit on the top. Now, this is kind of complicated to install, I'm not going to lie. It took me a minute to figure it out. So, I'm going to go over it with you guys step by step so that you can figure out how to do it. Because it is a major pain. So, first, obviously, you have to have your strut. Dirty, filthy strut, right? And you're going to have a cat climbing all over you while you're trying to do this. It's going to make it harder. Come on, kitty. Not time to hang out. Okay. So, your Strange strut. First thing I'm going to do is this rubber boot that's over the tip. Pull that off. Just set it aside. Grab your coilover sleeve. Slide it on. It's going to go all the way down to the bottom. I'm going to start with mine all the way maxed out as low as it'll go. Why? Because I have 14-inch springs. So I'm probably going to leave it there unless I want my ride height higher. So I'll adjust that once I have it on the car. Now, UPR does include some little locking nuts for it so that I can put those in here and I can lock it in place so it doesn't adjust itself on me, which is very nice. I'm very happy they do that. So, after you install the sleeve, go ahead and take basically your dust cover, put your dust cover back on. Make sure your shock is fully extended, otherwise with 14-inch spring, this is kind of a pain. So then what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and I like to install my springs so I can read them. So I'm going to find the lettering, which is right there. It says 14 DP. 14 DP 125 for my Viking. Try not to get a cat tail in here. Go on, kitty, get off. So once I have it set on, I'm going to take my spring top hat and just place it on top. It'll rest right on the top of the spring. This cat just won't leave me alone. Go on. After doing that, UPR includes a set of washers and bearings. So you take one of the washers, clean it off, clean off the area a little bit, drop the washer in. Then the set of roller bearings. That goes on top. Then the other washer. Basically that just makes it so this can spin freely and it's not going to bind, which is very good. So that goes on top next. Then the other top hat goes on. Nice blue anodized. I like it. So you throw that bad boy on. Now is usually the point where you'd be able to install your other top hat and put it in the car. But in our case, we can't. Now, I'm going to actually back up. I did this incorrectly. So I'm going to take that back off because in this case, we need to put some sleeves on here. So I'm going to put on a .48 and a .24 sleeve on top. Then I can go ahead and install my spring hat in all of its glory. Now this setup is ready to go. Now I need to set up my caster camber plate. So for starters, this little C piece, this is actually going to go up under the car. So the car is going to be, this is going to be underneath your strut tower. Then, so basically the strut tower is already on top of this. This has been slid up through the bottom. Then I'm going to take these washers, and a washer is going to go on each one. It's on top of the strut tower. The washer is going to go on top of each one. Then 3 spacers, these are 1/2-inch spacers, are going to go on. That's when I can put on my plate. Then on top of the plate go 3 more washers. and then these big connecting nuts. Then these big nylon locking nuts go on. So after that, this actually goes on. I'm going to have to set this down. Can't do this with one hand. That's why it's kind of a pain to put it all together. So you can do this many ways. I'd probably actually, I got to do it beforehand. So we'll back up. You guys can learn from me, right? We will put it together correctly, I promise. That was the correct order, but I can't fit this underneath. So this goes in underneath with the decal facing forward. Then a washer on each side. And then 2 locking nuts. Maxim Motorsports did a great job with this kit. It's all included, it's all there, it's all pretty easy to see what you're doing. Now the install for it, I think you need a video like this to actually even show you how, because there's a lot of parts and pieces and you might just be sitting there staring at it. So basically, this is sitting on top of our tower, right? Once I have that there, this whole spring assembly with the top hat is going to be stuck up through it. So that's going to come in and it's going to sit on top. It's like this. So all we're going to see is this top piece. Now, like I said, 14-inch spring. So I'm going to have some room. Could I possibly just put a nut on and be okay? I think I could, but they also include another 2 sleeves. I'm going to go ahead and use the .24 sleeve just to ensure and be safe that I have enough room. And then you're going to push it down. Really, it's going to be hanging, so you're going to have to jack it up or something to be able to do it. I'm not going to use that, not for this sake. Something's not lining up right for me. Interesting. So this might be interesting for me. You might need, when you actually go to install it, to jack it up from the bottom to give it enough oomph, basically, to shove it up through there. Now, if you're not having enough room, you can always take off one of these sleeves. But in my case, it's the spring height that's holding me back. I just can't hold the spring down. I need basically a spring, what are those called? A spring compressor to be able to pull it down enough to have it sit through this. That's my problem, because I have plenty of play in there, which I don't actually want. So I really am going to have to put these spacers on it, but I'm going to have to compress it from the bottom up. But basically, the spacers are going to go on, and then your big nut on the top. Set the car down, and then you're going to adjust everything to adjust your camber. And we'll go over that later. Thank God that's done. That sucked. Oh, that would be why. Check this out. So, my strut, my dirty strut, was not sitting all the way. It was not all the way up, so I couldn't get to it. Now I probably can. Yeah. There we go. So now you can see it stick through the top right there. So I'm going to use the spacer, and then there we go, my nut. And the nut just goes right down on it. I mean, it's pretty easy. Now on the Strange, they actually have it so you can hold it with a pair of pliers on the top. It's not just round. Way nicer, so that you can actually, once you get it down far enough by hand, you'll be able to do that. Now, doing this, I'm going to find out if I do need that other spacer. I think I actually do, so I'll end up putting it on most likely. But if I don't, that's perfectly fine. I just want there to be no play in this when it goes up and down. I want it to be completely solid. So I advise you do the same. That's why they include these sleeves. So that's your install. That's how you put together, not installed. That is a 79 to basically 2004 front strut coilover assembly. Okay guys, so I'm going to go ahead and try and install our driver's side strut here. If you can't hear me because it's windy, I'm sorry. I'm going to do the best I can. So I've already taken off pretty much all the top from our strut that we just put together. So this is going to slide up from the bottom. But before I do that, I need to actually install our top piece. So fairly simple. Just stick it up through the hole. Now as I do that, I have everything laying right here on the fender to make it a lot easier. So my washer's going first, then my 3 spacers, then I can put on my kit. Then the washers again. Interesting. I have noticed that I've put on, I'm going to put a washer here to hold it real quick. Can't fall off. I have this on backwards, so I'm just going to turn that around real quick. Basically, the Maximum Motorsports needs to face the front. The front would be the 2 big holes on this side. On my passenger side, it is the opposite. Okay. So I'm going to just flip that around. Doesn't that, so that way I can get full extension. That's the only reason. Put it back together. See, I'll have full extension on both ways now. You'll realize it if you do what I just did. Not a big deal whatsoever. So put that back over here. Just flop it. So it's on top. Now the washers can go on, and then the other lock washers. Cool part about it is you do actually leave all this fairly loose for now because you just need it to sit here. Okay, so I have that on. It looks pretty crazy, doesn't it? All sticking up and everything, but that's going to allow for a whole lot of movement, which is really good. I'm going to try and center it in the hole for now. So now I have to try and stick the strut through it. I'm going to basically just go ahead and stick it in there. Now, as I said before, I'm going to use one of the spacers, and there. Happily enough, that works. I'll twist it by hand. Pretty decently, actually. It's not that bad. But once it's fully up there and everything is done right, I'll adjust it and it'll be perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and install the other side now. Just like the other side, except it's kind of opposite. You have the same C-clamp on both sides, or C-clamp. This C piece is the same on both sides, but instead of being this way on the other side, it's actually turned around. I think Ford did this literally so they didn't have to make a different type of tool. So it's literally, the single bolt is in the front over here where it's in the back over there. I just kind of find that interesting. This goes all the way up and in, just like before. I'm going to try and kind of center it. 3 big washers, 3 big spacers, my caster camber plate, 3 washers, 3 nylon bolts, 3 nylon nuts. Nylon lock nuts. It's actually pretty easy, huh? So once again, almost dropped it. I have my strange setup. Ta-da! All the way down to the top hat put on. We'll just slide it up to the top. If I can find the hole, there we go. Sometimes it's hard to find the hole. I'm going to press it up, put my .24 spacer on, then my top nut. I'm not going to fully install and tighten them all yet because everything in here can move, which is totally crazy how it can do that. So yeah, we're not going to do that yet, but I'm totally stoked. These are some awesome pieces, and they're going to be awesome on the car.
Well, there you guys go. That's how you assemble and install a coilover kit, strut, and caster camber plate assembly onto a 1979 to 2004 Ford Mustang. Now remember, we used our UPR coilover system with a Viking spring, a strange 10-way adjustable dirty front strut, and then we used a Maxim Motorsports caster camber plates kit to assemble it all onto our drag car. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and the how-to. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and let me know if you want me to do anything else or have any suggestions in the comments below.